And the moon radiates light because the sun reflects off of it. So we want our darkest parts to be furthest from the moon, and it's gonna get lighter as we go in. So I'm gonna add more water to my brush as I circle and get closer to the moon. So I'm gonna add more purple. Maybe a little bit of blue. To create this indigo. Maybe I'll even do a little drop of black. And then once this first layer dries, you can always go back into it and try to get a even darker color. I'm just gonna blot around the moon a little bit. Okay, so the fourth Polaroid, we're just going to create a couple different tree lines. So get your brush wet and clean, fill it with water, and then you're going to run a horizontal line. And you want to make sure there's a decent amount of water there. So with your small brush, you're going to dip it into whatever color you want. You're going to pull a vertical line above the water line down so its roots touch the water, and it's going to start to bleed out. And you can mix colors. You don't have to do green, even though it's a tree. You can do whatever you want to do. So these are very green, very bright. So you can see that the roots start to bleed. So I'm going to do another one. But this time I'm going to use like fall colors. So you need a lot of water. I'm going to go for the orange. There was still some green in my brush, so now it's pretty muddy, but that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna go back to this one and I'm gonna add more purple, blue, and black, just a little bit of black around the edge. So we're getting a darker shade. And I'm gonna carefully move this to the side. Ooh, you can see that when I tilt the paper, these water lines are spreading, which is fine. So I'm just gonna set this aside, go back to my first one. So now that this is dry, I need to clean out my brush in the water. I'm gonna go back to green. Just gonna use a tiny bit of blue. And I'm gonna do another swoop going the opposite way. So this green is a little brighter or darker or more saturated. So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did on my fourth Polaroid with the tree line. So these trees are gonna be a little bit bigger than the trees in the back. So I'm gonna let this one dry, clean off my brush. Now I'm going to create a skyline or a cityscape at the bottom of the cloud one. And I'm gonna use black. You wanna just get it a little bit wet and really go around the edges of the color on the palette. So you get a really dark black. You don't wanna get a gray. So then, so it doesn't have to be anything perfect. I just want you guys to try to get a really saturated or dark, vibrant black. On the first one I did, you know, telephone poles, just so that you get some of those negative spaces with the cloud shining through. But for this one, I'm just gonna do a regular old cityscape. All right. So this still needs to dry a little bit. So I'm gonna go back to my other one. Let's move this. Oh, maybe I'll put some little birds in this one, flying, to get some more black going through. All right, set this aside. Now I am going to peel off these little pieces of tape now that this is dry. You can see how bright the white ends up being. And I know these don't look just like stars because they're kind of a geometric shape, but you get the idea. There's this thing called masking fluid that you can buy where you paint it on and it's like this pink color and then it dries and it feels like rubbery. And then you can just use an eraser and it starts to collect it all and pull it up. So I don't have any of that. It also smells really bad, so I don't really buy it, but I have used it before. So I'm gonna take off my tape, and you need to take it off and kind of in the opposite way you put it on. So I'm gonna do the edges, and I'm pulling away from my painting. So that means that I'm not putting the tape on top of it and pulling towards it. I'm pulling away.